Imagine boarding a midnight train. Hundreds of passengers laughing, chatting, excited for their journey home. The engine roars into a dark tunnel, and then silence. The train never emerges on the other side. No wreckage, no bodies, no trace. Tonight, the phantom train that vanished forever still waits for new passengers. Are you brave enough to hear what really happened? Welcome to the nightmare that never ended.
Some stories were never meant to be forgotten. They were buried, ignored, or silenced. But the truth always leaves a record. From unsolved murders, to vanished legends, to horrors hidden in plain sight. This is The Hidden Record.
In the remote mountains of northern Italy, where ancient tunnels cut through jagged peaks like scars on the earth, there once stood a proud railway company called Zanetti Railways. It was 1911, a time when steam engines symbolized progress, carrying the wealthy and the hopeful across Europe's growing network. But on one foggy autumn night, something impossible happened, something that would birth one of the most terrifying legends in railway history. The phantom train that never arrived. The train departed from Rome at precisely 11:47 p.m. on October 12th, bound for Milan. It was a luxurious passenger service, specially chartered for over 100 elite travelers, businessmen, aristocrats, and families returning from the capital. The gleaming black locomotive, number 107, pulled 7 elegant wooden carriages. Passengers settled in with fine wine, laughter echoing through the cars as they anticipated a smooth overnight journey. The night was unusually thick with fog. Locals later said it rolled in unnaturally fast, swallowing the tracks like a living thing. At the controls was engineer Vittorio Rossi, a veteran with 20 years of experience. His fireman and conductor were equally seasoned. Everything seemed routine until the train approached the infamous Tunnel of Shadows, a long, curving passage carved through Monte Cavo, known for its treacherous bends and sudden mists. 2 passengers, a young couple named Elena and Marco, felt uneasy as the fog grew denser. Just before the tunnel entrance, they stepped off at a small wayside platform to stretch their legs and get some fresh air. As they watched the train's headlamp pierce the white veil, its whistle blowing a long, mournful note. The massive engine chugged forward, carriages clacking one by one into the darkness. Elena later swore she heard a strange humming sound, like electricity crackling in the air. Right as the last car vanished into the tunnel. Then, nothing. The fog swallowed the noise. The couple waited. 5 minutes. 10. 15. The train never came out the other side. Workers at the Milan station grew worried when the scheduled arrival time passed with no sign of the train. Telegraphs flew back and forth. Search parties were sent immediately. They combed the tunnel from both ends, expecting a derailment, a collision, or perhaps a rock slide. But there was nothing. No twisted metal, no scattered luggage, no screams or bodies. The tracks inside the tunnel were perfectly clean, as if no train had ever passed through that night. The official investigation concluded it was impossible. Over 106 people, plus crew, had simply vanished. The 2 passengers who stepped off were the only survivors, if you could call them that. They spent the rest of their lives haunted, insisting the train had been called away by something unnatural. For years, the story faded into rumor. Zanetti Railways went bankrupt amid the scandal. The Tunnel of Shadows was eventually sealed and abandoned. But the nightmare was only beginning. The first sighting came in 1923, 12 years later. A night watchman near the old tunnel entrance swore he heard the distant chug of a steam engine approaching through the fog. He saw a faint, glowing headlamp piercing the mist. The train, identical to the lost Zanetti 107, glided silently toward the tunnel, its carriages filled with pale, motionless figures staring out the windows with empty eyes. As it entered the tunnel, it faded like smoke, No sound, no exit. Locals began calling it Il Treno Fantasma, the Phantom Train. Over the decades, more witnesses emerged. In the 1950s, a group of hikers camping near the sealed tunnel reported hearing laughter and music from inside the mountain, followed by a long, desperate whistle that echoed for miles. In 1978, a truck driver on a nearby road saw the entire train materialize on a stretch of abandoned track that hadn't existed for decades. It moved without touching the ground. Passengers visible as translucent silhouettes, some pressing their faces against the glass as if begging for help. But the most disturbing encounters happened to those foolish enough to wait for it. In 1997, a paranormal investigator named Luca Bianchi set up cameras and recording equipment near the tunnel site on the anniversary of the disappearance. At exactly 11:47 p.m., the air grew ice cold. His equipment malfunctioned. Static filled the screens. Then, through the fog, the phantom train appeared, not rushing, but slowing, as if searching. Bianchi later described in his diary, the carriages were full, men in old-fashioned suits, women in long dresses, children with hollow eyes. They weren't ghosts of the dead. They looked lost, confused, still waiting to arrive in Milan. One woman looked straight at me and mouthed words I couldn't hear. Then the train began to fade, but not before I felt it. A pull, like invisible hands trying to drag me aboard. Bianchi disappeared 3 days later. His car was found parked near the tunnel, engine still running, doors open. No trace of him was ever found. Some say the phantom train isn't repeating a crash. It never crashed. It simply crossed over into somewhere else, a place between worlds where time loops endlessly. The passengers are trapped in eternal transit, boarding the same train night after night, never reaching their destination. Railway enthusiasts still debate the legend. Skeptics claim it was a hoax started by a Ukrainian writer who turned a fictional tale into viral folklore. But too many independent witnesses, from different decades and countries, described the exact same details. The black locomotive with the number 107 barely visible through rust and spectral glow, the silent wheels, the desperate faces in the windows. Today, the tunnel of shadows remains sealed. Warning signs dot the overgrown tracks. Yet every October 12th, on foggy nights, people still report hearing it, that lonely whistle, cutting through the mountains, calling for new souls to join the journey that never ends. So the next time you're near old railway tracks at midnight, and you hear a train approaching that isn't on any schedule, don't wave it down. Is always looking for more passengers. And once you step aboard, you'll never reach your destination. What do you think happened to the Zanetti train? Was it a dimensional slip, a government cover-up, or something far darker? Drop your theories in the comments. If you enjoyed this tale of the unknown, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next train might be coming for you. Stay safe out there, and never board the last train of the night.